as a therapist who works with complex trauma, I have begun to uh, understand that there are false memories, but they have 100% of the time been to cover up memories that are worse. And my history, I'll start at the beginning, so it's chronological if that's okay. But in my story, there's a reason my brother, my younger brother, he's 5 years younger than me, has become he's incarcerated now. This is second incarceration, at least for abuse of a child. But this second time, he was put away for life and considered criminally insane. So in the state of Washington, that's 20 years. But after 20 years, he'll be assessed and he'll go to an island for the criminally insane. And the judge said when she sentenced him that it was the worst case she had presided over in 30 years. They didn't bring it out in court, but the neighbors all agree, and we'd seen it for years and we couldn't make it stop, but we were pretty sure he was trafficking children, foster children specifically. And it was a foster child, a very, very articulate little 4-year-old girl who, by the time she testified, she was 7. She did a beautiful job. And the jury took minutes to make their judgment. We knew my brother was broken. We didn't know why he was broken. We just know he was really broken. We knew that him and my mom had a trauma bond, and she had to make sure his whole world was okay. From 6 years old, from when he was 6 years old, you could say nothing wrong about him. He could never be disciplined. He was the golden child, and we all in the family had jobs. We had to help him be okay, but nothing involving truth, you know? And so he went sideways, especially when he hit 12, 13 years old. He really went sideways and started acting out and was really manipulative. And I felt dangerous even. And then when he was 16 years old and I was 21 years old, I was walking down a hall and I just sensed I needed to go in this room where my brother and sister-in-law and their 4-year-old little daughter um, was staying, and she was in taking a nap. And so I just opened the door to peek in, and there was my brother sexually abusing her. And it was a farm. I grew up on a farm. I was innocent. I was protected. I didn't understand what I saw, but I just knew it was terribly disturbing. Didn't know what to call it. I was 21, but we didn't have a TV, you know? And so I just was innocent, and we got to private school, you know? And so I went to my mom, and I knew my mom was super protective of him, but I thought for sure she'd protect her grandchild. I could not have been more surprised with her response than if she would have backhanded me as hard as she could. She didn't, but it was her response. She exploded on me and she condemned me and told me what a bad sister I was and how I was always out to get him, and that was what was wrong is me and nothing about my niece. And I could not have been more surprised. And so I shut down. I didn't tell my dad. Um, I didn't tell my brother, my older brother, whose child it was. I didn't call the police. But I watched, she was only at the house for 3 days. I watched her like a hawk. Every minute of my day was watching after that child. It was summer. So I was there just to watch her, make sure she was okay. I thought I caught everything, but I didn't. Years later, when it came out, because when my brother went to prison for the first time, he had abused a little girl, it became known, and people started talking about it. My sister and I, we called my brother up in Alaska where he lived, my older brother, and we said, he's going to prison for what he did to a little girl. So my brother invited his children in, the one who had been abused, and he said, this is what happened. And they didn't say anything. There actually, by that time, were two of his children had been abused. One was severely abused because he had at one point invited my brother to live with him. And my brother went up to Alaska and lived with them for a year. And so one of the girls came back, the one that I had witnessed. She came back and she said, I know he did abuse that little girl he's going to prison for because he abused me. And when all that came out and I realized I couldn't make it stop, I just fell on the ground and I just cried and cried and cried. And after that, in interactions with my own husband and stuff, I began to wonder when I was being intimate with my husband, did I get abused? Did I get abused? Just this haunting little thought. that I never took to any therapist. And finally, about 6 years ago, uh, when I was in therapy for something else, I just went back because as a therapist, you don't leave anything unturned. You want to be as healthy as you can. Um, I said, I mentioned that. I said, I just have always wondered. And she goes, well, tell me about that. And I said, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm in a bed. I'm in a bed. I've got little red overalls on. I'm in a bed. I think it was when my brother was born because I was like 5 or something like that. I was young, like that age. And I think that it probably was when we spent the night at somebody else's house while my brother was being born. And then somebody came in my room and they're hovering over me, and then I don't remember anymore. And I think something happened to me. And so we did EMDR on that. And in that EMDR session, realized I think it's my niece. And that bed was low to the ground because it was just a mattress on the ground, just like my niece was in. And so then I went home and I looked through pictures and I saw the pictures of when she did visit, and she's in red overalls. And I'm like, oh, and all of a sudden my whole body went like, yeah. So I went back to my therapist and I'm like, I think I hijacked a memory. Is that such a thing? And she goes, tell me what it was like for you to walk in that room and feel that. And so I began to tell about the little girl and all what I was worried about her. And she goes, no, tell me about your feelings. And I go, well, I shouldn't feel feelings. The feelings should be reserved for the little girl. She goes, tell me what it was like to tell your mom. Tell me what that was like. And it was like it broke me. I go, I don't want to be the perpetrator, but somehow I feel like one because I couldn't make it stop. I had agency to make it stop. I was older than my brother and I couldn't make it stop. And that lives in my body today. I don't know if you can tell that, but I manage that, and it's helped me be a good therapist because I understand God's got a role in this. He's created me to do what I do, and I'm okay with that. I know I'm not the perpetrator. I know that. It just still is tender, that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, there's my hijacked memory.